Hey guys, what's up? It's 2-Bit Jesus, and here with me today is Donovan
Hello.
and Ginger.
Hello, hello.
And today we will be discussing, because today I believe is International Tabletop Day, and that's what we're going to talk about. And Ginger, can you tell us about International Tabletop Day?
Woohoo, woohoo. Okay, so International Tabletop Day, started by Will Wheaton, is, of so much fame. Star Trek nerds will know
The next
him.
generation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, TNG. Stand By Me, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, Will Wheaton, he is is involved heavily with Geek and Sundry, who was Felicia Day's baby. And he started uh, this national or international tabletop day where people get together and play games on tabletop, not video games. Sorry, video game nerds. They organize it to where retailers can, maybe a retailer, maybe a library, maybe a coffee shop, could promote their place by saying, hey, all you board game nerds, come and play your board games, and there'll be little prizes awarded. So you can go to geekandsundry.com and you can put in your zip code and find out where the nearest tabletop gaming location is to you. So, like, Sean, there's one right by you at Pike Library, and there's one by me and Donovan at Hoover Library. So there's going to be lots of nerds sitting around and being
There's
nerdy.
there's actually there's actually there's also one I know in Leeds, at and there's a guy that I actually noticed that after he started picking up a lot of business, and I think that may have something to do with just Geek and Sundry alone, because that really made people aware of tabletops. And I know that after their first show of the tabletop, they there was like a game that they were promoting or something, and it was sold out.
Hmm.
Like they had to
Yes.
restock everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that was something that I saw in an interview with Will Wheaton, where he talked about the influence of this new tabletop gaming surge. Has anytime they play a game on like their Twitch or YouTube, or on the Geek and Sundry site where they have the videos linked there, anytime they play it for the tabletop community, that game goes bonkers with its sales.
So
It's crazy.
they
So,
so they
yeah.
have a PewDiePie slash angry video game nerd effect on board games, where if they play it, everyone else wants to buy it.
Yes, absolutely.
PewDiePie, really? You referenced
I
him?
mean,
I know what you mean though. Yeah.
Biggest YouTuber. I mean, you can't miss him.
He really is. You can't. Yeah, they keep recommending it on my YouTube. Keep clicking ignore. I don't.
Anyway, you're
But
saying,
yeah.
Ginger?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, me too. No, what you said. So it it is, maybe people ask, well, what classifies as tabletop? Because I only play games through a television and a console
Console.
or a computer. What is this tabletop situation? So, may I go into a tiny, tiny bit of history
Yes,
with your
yes, please.
permission? So, let's backtrack. So, when were the first video games played? Answers.
Who?
And then I don't mean for um, research purposes. I mean
Okay.
a user in their house
Oh, in their
playing a
house?
video game.
That'd be
Hmm.
the 60s or 70s, I
Not like an
believe.
arcade.
No, no, not an arcade, but like in the home. Yeah, that would still be like I would
Right.
say late 60s, early 70s. If I'm mistaken, no, 60s. The
70s.
Magnavox was the first one. It was the
Well,
70s?
yeah, but the Magnavox that came out, that was like 72.
72? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, wasn't as commercially successful, of course, as the Atari. But that is the first, insurgence of a console into the home, the Magnavox, the Atari, or whatnot. That's like, early to mid 1970s. But if you want to find out when games began to be played, you need to go back to 3100 BC. The first board game, it's called Senate, and it was
It was
originally, it
played
was
by
kind of
Jesus
like,
Christ.
well, it's BC.
Yeah.
Oh, before Christ. Oh, damn it.
We're talking Egyptian times here.
God damn
And
it.
it was kind of like
So close.
Snakes and Ladders, which was
Nowhere
like
near.
Shoots and Ladders is what that kind of became. But it was kind of like Shoots and Ladders, but it was like took on kind of a religious tone where the progress on the board marked the progress of your soul in the afterlife. Coming for your soul. But that was only done really by people who were kind of affluent. The common guy wasn't playing board games and stuff. And really, you
Are
can
they
count that as a
selling
dice
this
game too.
at the marketplace now?
They were
Can we
not.
actually go buy them?
Oh, Senate, and no. You could buy Shoots and
damn it.
Ladders, which is similar. But you could really count it as kind of the first dice game too, because it incorporated dice. But really, those were literally bones that they were throwing. They were throwing bones instead of dice. But that was the first insurgent. You don't have card games proper until the 9th century, but really that's a lot of history of games that are done theoretically on a tabletop or sitting on the ground or sitting
Yeah.
around with other people,
And
actually
I
face to
will
face.
and I will add this to the most famous and legendary video game company of all time, Nintendo. Actually, originally were game card maker, or they made game cards back in the 19th
I was going to
century.
say the same thing, Sean.
Mm.
Yeah.
So even Nintendo
Who's
started with card
With
games,
tabletop gaming
and tabletop
before, yeah.
gaming. Yeah.
Well, yeah, then once you got into the home console market and people could see, 8-bit processing and a two-dimensional paddle and ball, then, their life had meaning because there was Pong right there in their homes.
Mhm.
And they could move a little white thing around on
Get
a
that
black
Pong
think,
score up.
I think an important thing, though, is that I think that important thing about tabletop gaming in general is the fact that it's connecting people.
Yeah.
What we've lost with the internet age and the video gaming age is we used to get together, like, Sean, I mean, me and you used to go over to each other's houses, sit on the floor, load in a game, and we'd all play, and we'd all have fun drinking beers and whatnot, and just fucking playing games together and laughing our asses off. And then Xbox Live came around, and we started playing over headsets, and we slowly lost that connection. We play games, but we don't play with people really anymore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not face to face, not interacting with somebody and learning about their character as they grow. And that's what's important about tabletop games, is that you sit down and you're sitting there, and that's some of the best memories I have of tabletop games, is sitting there playing
Yes.
with somebody and seeing their faces and getting to know the person, whether you be playing Dungeons and Dragons or what was it, 1942, 1943, Sean?
Yeah, 19. I think now that I think about it, I think it's
Tannhauser, Killer
1942.
Bunnies.
Yeah. I will also say
Risk.
I will also say
Risk.
as far as like your family goes too. It was I remember we used to.
Game night.
Yeah, I remember there being. I don't know if it was ever scheduled or not, but I remember when everyone was there was usually like, "Oh, here's a new board game
Yep.
we bought," and we would play the new board game, or we might get out an old board game and play it. I remember there was Malarkey, which was a fun one. Of course,
Farkle.
Clue. There was also
Which I always called Fecal.
Monopoly. I mean, not Monopoly.
Yahtzee,
Sorry, did I
Trivial
say? I didn't
Pursuit.
mean Monopoly. I think I already said Monopoly. I meant Life. The Simpsons Life. That one was the most fun for me.
Yeah, that was so good.
There's just tons, and it was like a very good. It was an awesome experience. Where now it doesn't seem we do that as much anymore. We kind of
We're lost in technology.
yeah. Yeah, and then lost in
Which I'm
a
not
good
saying-
500 miles between me and and hanging out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that technology is evil and blah blah blah. Because I love it. I mean, hell, I'm
Nor
on it right
I.
now. But you do lose something with the interaction.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, that's how
I'm gonna
we've
enjoy.
evolved to. That's
Yeah.
that's how we evolved, is physically being there with a person, reading their facial reactions and all that. There's a whole nother. There is a kind of a, with technology, it's kind of divided us from that part. You know what I mean? Where if
Learning
you're
skill.
online with the
Yeah.
game,
Absolutely.
if you're online with the game, you're not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to read someone, or be able to read someone with a headset. It's or a
Which
text.
then raises the question: is this why tabletop gaming has stayed around so drastically? Like during for example, you can play D&D, quote unquote, uh, online. There's tons of MMOs that are constantly changing. You can interact and play with tons of people. You can create your own character. But games like D&D, where it's basically a storyteller and a bunch of people hanging out, has endured the test of time. A lot of these games have. And is it
Yeah.
because we still, as people, are sitting around wanting that interaction, that human interaction that we don't get from video games and multiplayer
Yeah, I mean,
online and things?
you could also argue. I'll say two things. For one, people like something tangible. That's something you physically can touch. Where you don't get that with a video game. So it's something you can physically touch. But I will say one thing. We might also be speaking primarily because we grew up with that. Our generation, particularly. Is that unique generation. We were the ones to see the age of digital begin and analog die. We're right there on that line. Where I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a huge movement of people younger than us that are also into these tabletop games? Like significantly, does the average kid or teen play board games? Do you think it might be a generational thing for us? That's why we keep going back and playing it.
Ginger, I'll let you handle this one before I put my two.
Well, I mean, my thought,
in.
I don't have any numbers. I'm sure that, some company out there can tell you statistics, but I do think that we are kind of the last generation, the ones that remember not having video games around, or not having them as easily accessible, and having times when you didn't have a piece of technology that still had battery power when the power went out. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to entertain yourself, you didn't have your TV, then you could gather around and play a game. I mean, now, as long as you've got battery life, you can probably still keep playing something digitally.
Yeah.
But we're kind of the last, I mean, I'm an older generation than you guys, but the last kind of set of, or the groups of people that maybe had both. And definitely Will Wheaton, who I mentioned, is, and I think that's
What? Who's that?
part of why Will Wheaton, I think that's part of why he has gotten people so interested in it.
I think that
he
he's
remembers
definitely
that.
pulled in. Sorry, I think that he's definitely pulled in
go
the
ahead.
younger generation though, because
Yeah.
you go down to that game store down in Leeds and over in Hoover, and you can actually see a bunch of younger kids coming in there, playing these games such as HeroClix and whatnot. There's a Marvel one. I think it's a HeroClix one too. I can't think of it. There's a bunch of Magic the Gathering players. So
Well, I'll also
I do see
add.
younger audience coming in there.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Why don't you drop us a thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything we're doing around here. Click on the right for more 2-Bit podcasts, and click the video on the left if you want to see some 2-Bit reviews. Once again, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.